Hello class, welcome to module 2.5. So this is the last module. This is the last sub-module under module 2. So we're going to talk about, for this module, still mode of acquisition, but this time through exchange of non-monetary assets. Aside from exchange of non-monetary assets, we're going to discuss certain concept about the acquisition under lease contracts. So our learning objective for this module is to account for initial recognition of property, plant, and equipment by exchange of non-monetary assets, and also the basics of acquisition under the lease contracts. So first, let's discuss the acquisition under lease contract. So as you can see, this is a contract. So there should be a meeting of minds, and there should be a two parties in this transaction. So these two parties is what we call the lessee and the lessor. So the lessee is the one, actually this contract is a rent transaction. So meaning the one party is the one using the asset for a payment or for a fee, while the other one is the one who is the legal owner of the property and is receiving a certain amount for the use of his or her assets. So lease contract is an agreement between the lessor and the lessee. So the lessor is the real owner. So this is the legal owner of the property, subject to lease. And the lessee is the one occupying the property for a fee. So yung fee, ito yung lease amount or itatawag natin na rent. So if the lease is for a short period of time, ang tawag natin dun is operating lease. But meron pa tayo isa pang type of lease, itatawag natin na finance lease. Although this transaction is a separate topic, so you're going to discuss IF number 16 in your next accounting class. So that's why for this particular module, so we're going to discuss some basic concept only. Ayan, so lease contract is an agreement between lessor and lessee wherein the lessee is granted a right to use the property for a specified period of time for a specified period amount. So yun nga yung sabi ko sa kanina, so yung amount, tawag natin dyan is a rent. So, under the IFRS 16, so leases yun. Ang title of IFRS 16 is leases. So, we have what we call the right to use the asset. So, what do you mean by that? So, that the right to use asset is where in the lease contracts and in the lease contract extend beyond a period of 12 months. So, kapag more than 12 months or more than 1 year, so the term used for that type of lease contract is a right to use asset. And the lease asset is not considered low value assets. So, ibig sabihin, yung cost ng asset o yung amount ng assets is a high value asset. If that is the case, if high value assets, so this will be recognized as part of your property, plant, and equipment. Therefore, you're going to apply also, or you're going to relate IFRS 16 with IAS 16, IAS 16 for the PPE. Okay, so if the lease contract will qualify as the right of use asset, so according to the slide, or according to IFRS 16, paragraph 24, so the initial measure of the lease asset is the sum of the following. Ito yung mga kasama dun sa i-recognize natin as part of your lease asset. So first, so we have the amount of cash at or before the lease commencement date. Ibig sabihin ko kailan commencement date, kung kailan mag-start yung lease. So take note yung amount of cash paid before or during the commencement date. So sometimes ito yung deposit, di ba? So pag nagre-rent tayo, so i-require tayo ni lessor to pay a certain amount, so that will be our lease deposit. So yung lease deposit will be cover expenses in case ma-terminate na yung lease contract natin. Or sometimes it will be applied as part of your lease payment for a certain months. So depende dun sa lease transaction. And amount of measure of the lease liability. So this will include computation of the present value of the lease payments, because the lease payments will cover future period of time. So since future to, and we need to record the amount of the lease for this particular transaction at the date of the commencement date. So therefore, we need to compute for the present value. So paano gagawin yan? Ituturo yan sa separate accounting subjects. No? And of course, just like other PPE, we also need to include initial direct costs incurred by the lessee. So same with the PPE, all other incidental costs that are necessary to bringing the assets to its intended condition or location or use should be part of the cost of the asset. In this case, this is the leased asset or the right of use asset. And also, just like an ordinary PPE, we need to estimate the cost to be incurred by the lessee in removing and dismantling the underlying assets. So if you remember, yung removing or dismantling cost should be part also, or decommissioning cost should be part also as as one of the cost or component of cost of the right of use assets or lease assets. So I told you before that it will happen in the future. So yung cash outflow will happen in the future. So meaning yung dismantling will be happening in the future. So therefore, we also need to compute for the present value. So that's like the other assets. So all of these should be recognized for a right of use assets under the lease contracts. And these right of use assets will be presented as part of your property, plant, and equipment. So meaning kasi magiging long-term assets yan. Kasi nga, yung para maging right of use assets, so first, yung lease contract should cover more than 12 months. So meaning more than 1 year. Ayun. So tapos, yung amount niya, yung amount nitong sum ng mga to is material or large sum of money. So therefore, ipe-present mo yan under ng IS number 16. So yun lang yung tungkol dito sa assets under the lease term. Ngayon, pagdating sa IFRS 16, so you will learn in that particular standard that sometimes, although you are just renting the place, you are the one to present. Ayun nga, sabi ko nga, di ba, magiging part ng IS 16 yan. Bakit? Maraming mga criteria doon. For example, majority of life, ikaw lang gagamit. O yung asset na nirerentahan mo, ikaw lang naman ang pwedeng gumamit, walang ibang pwedeng gumamit. So, ina-apply dito yung substance over form. Bakit substance over form? Kasi ikaw lang ang pwedeng gumamit ng asset eh, walang iba. So, in substance, ikaw talaga yung may-ari ng assets. Although, in form, di ikaw. Bakit in form, di ikaw? Eh, kasi nga, si lessor nga yung owner o yung merong legal right for the asset. Yung title dun sa asset na kay lessor. Pero in substance, nasa yun kasi ikaw lang gagamit dun sa asset. Madami pa example. So, marami pa kayong i-discuss pagdating nyo ng IFRS number 16. So, basta sinasabi ko lang na pag yung right of use of assets is the classification of the asset under the lease contract, ipe-present mo siya as part of your PPE or property, plant, and equipment. Ngayon, if you want to clarify something, please let me know. Ayan. So now let's go on to our main topic, which is the accounting for exchange of non-monetary assets. So yung tinutukoy ng non-monetary assets are the property, plant, and equipment asset mo. So just like other assets, so di ba sabi natin yung cash price equivalent. So nire-recognize natin yung PPE as equivalent to its cash price equivalent kasi ito yung fair market value or fair value ng asset na yan. So the same with that concept or following that concept, so look at the slide. Sabi niya, the cost of assets in an exchange transaction is measured at fair value. So fair value pa din yan unless may exception to the general rule. So una, the exchange transaction lacks commercial substance. So kung wala namang commercial substance, so in effect, hindi talaga siya exchange. So physically, nag-exchange kayo ng transaction, pero in substance, wala namang exchange na nangyari kasi walang commercial substance yung transaction nyo. Pag sinabi natin commercial substance, makikita nyo mamaya, pag walang changes dun sa present value, sa risk, and other economic factors, walang commercial substance yun. So, para magkaroon ng commercial substance, mayroong change dun sa risk, mayroon ding change sa cash flow. Ayan. Both the fair values of the asset given up and the fair values of the asset received are not reliably measured. Kasi nga, ang requirement nga ng standard is should be measured at fair value. So, kahit may commercial substance, cannot determine naman yung fair value. So, therefore, di natin ma-apply yung requirement which is to measure the non-monetary assets received or given up, exchange at fair values. Yun nga lang sa problem, usually, given naman yung fair values. No? Ayan, alis sabihin. Ngayon, so, kailan nagkakaroon ng commercial substance? So, an exchange transaction is deemed to have commercial substance if the configuration, so yung risk, yung timing, and amount of the cash flow of the asset received differs from the configuration of the cash flow of the asset transfer. So, if you remember, sa concept of valuation, so paano natin lalaman yung price ng assets? That is the sum of all of the present value to be received o to be recognized in the future. No? So, yun. So, syempre, kung nagbago yung present value mo, nagbago yung cash flow mo, nagbago yung interest rate. Kasi sa interest rate, pinafactor natin yung risk. And also, nagbago yung useful life. Dati kasi yung assets mo will be used for 10 years only. And nakipagpalit ka ng another assets. Yung assets na yun, merong 15 years useful life. So, therefore, nagbago yung timing. Yung amount, ba't nagbago yung amount? Kasi nagbago yung percentage, yung risk mo. For example, so tumaas yung risk mo. So, therefore, tumaas din yung interest rate. Or kung bumaba yung risk mo, marami kasing klaseng risk. So, halimbawa, financial risk, business risk, etc. So, therefore, bababa din yung interest rate. Ngayon, nagbago yung amount. Ba't nagbago yung amount? Nagpalit ka ng Xerox machine. Before, black and white lang, naging colored. Siyempre, mas mahal yung colored. So, more services, so therefore, more cash flow. So, kapag nagbago-bago yung configuration na yun nga yung risk, timing, and amount of the cash flow of the asset received differs from the configuration of the cash flow of the asset transferred. So, therefore, yung exchange transaction nyo is deemed with commercial substance. Ayan. The entity-specific value of the portion of the entity's operations affected by the transactions changes as a result of the exchange. Ngayon, difference in 1 and 2 is significant relative to the fair values of the asset exchange. So, kapag present lahat yan, so yung exchange transaction is deemed to have commercial substance. Sa problem, usually sinasabi naman if the transaction is with commercial substance or without commercial substance. Or, ang keywords nyo doon, so siyempre merong changes doon sa present value ng cash flow. So, nagbago yung interest rate, nagbago yung cash flow, nagbago yung useful life. So, therefore, merong commercial substance. Ayan. Look at the example. So, sabi niya, on January 1, 2019, ABC Incorporated exchanged machines with XYZ company. So, we have two company here. The following facts pertain to these assets are as follows. So, we have the data for ABC Incorporated and XYZ company. So, original cost of asset of ABC Incorporated is 250,000. Take note na as of January 1 to 2019, so ang accumulated depreciation mo is 97,000. So, meaning, if you notice dun sa given, dapat kapag magkaroon ng exchange transactions, you need to update your accumulated depreciation. And also, look for the updated fair market value. So, January 1, 2019 yung exchange, so dapat yung fair market value mo as of January 1 lang. Paano kung magkaroon ng exchange ng July 1? So, therefore, you need to update the depreciation expense para yung accumulated depreciation mo or yung book value mo is also updated as of that date. So, for simplicity, ginawa kong January 1 na lang. So, January 1, 2019, so ang yung accumulated depreciation mo is 97,000. Ito yun. So, as of that date, ang fair market value is 180. Ngayon, cash paid by ABC, 45,000. So, meaning, si ABC yung nagbayad ng cash to XYZ. Kaya if you notice, kalagay dito, cash received by XYZ is 45. Magulat tayo dyan, cash paid by ABC, 45. Tapos, cash received by XYZ, 50. So, sino nagbayad nung extra 5,000? I don't know. Ayan. For XYZ, original cost is 292,000. Accumulated depreciation is 180. Yung fair market value as of that date is 150,000. Yan. So, please remember the data. So, picturean ko lang para meron akong reference pag solve. Yan. Okay, what are the requirements? So, sabi niya, what entry should be made on the books of each company to record the exchange? So, take note. So, we have two assumptions here. So, yung first assumption is assuming the exchange is with commercial substance. So, this time with commercial substance. So, kapag may commercial substance, yung asset given up will be recognized, o yung asset received will be, kasi from XYZ to, di ba, from ABC to XYZ. So, ang rule dyan, so kung ano yung fair market value, kasi dalawa yung asset yan eh. Fair market value of asset received. So, meaning from si ABC from XYZ to ABC. Or yung asset given up. Ano ibig sabihin ng asset given up? Eh di yung fair market value ng asset ni ABC papunta kay XYZ. So, ang rule natin dyan, yung fair market value ng asset given up. Given up. Diba? Given up. So, don't forget. So, ibig sabihin, yung fair market value ng asset ni ABC, dun niya i-record yung asset na na-receive niya from XYZ. However, it should be adjusted by the cash received or paid by each party. So kung ako yung nagbayad ng cash, syempre babawas ko yun dun sa asset given up ko. Yan. Paano yun? So tingnan natin yung information. So for ABC, take note, this is on the book of ABC. So, ang entry dyan, magde-debit siya ng, this is machine. So, magde-debit siya ng machine. So, this is new. So, ibig sabihin ng machine na new, edi yung asset na na-receive niya from XYZ. Sabi ko kanina, it will be measured at the asset given up. Fair market value of asset given up. Bakit fair market value? Kasi nga, may commercial substance. Ngayon, it will be adjusted by cash payment. So, if you look at the problem, sabi niya, if you look at the problem, so, ang fair market value ng asset given up ni ABC, so, di ba dun sa data, we have original cost 250, accumulated depreciation 97, tapos we have fair market value of 180. So, 180 yung fair market value ng asset given up. Kaso, nagbayad siya ng 45. So, may ibig sabihin, kaya siya nagbayad ng 45 kasi yung na-receive niyang asset o yung given up ni XYZ, mas mataas sa 180 yung fair market value. So, therefore, i-recognize ko yung information na yon. So, ibig sabihin, yung asset given up ko na 180, idadagdag ko yung binayaran ko na 45,000. So, ang i-debit ko sa machinery is yung fair market value ng asset given up. So, 180,000 plus yung binayad ko na 45,000. So, lalabas, this is 225,000. So, bakit nga ganun? Kasi nga, ang assumption natin dyan, syempre, sa tingin ni ABC, so, in the assumption of ABC, yung asset na na-receive niya kay XYZ is more than 45,000 dun sa asset na give up niya. Yun. Kasi syempre, for ABC, so ABC recognizes or assumes different elements in the computation of the fair market value of this new machine. So, kasi nga, di ba, pag mag-compute tayo ng value, nire-recognize natin yung present value ng future cash flow. So, based on the assumptions used by ABC, 225,000 dapat yung value ng asset. Kaya, nagbayad siya ng extra 45,000. So, yung given up niya is 180 plus yung binayad niya na 45,000. Ayan. So, syempre, ginib up niya yung old machine niya. So, pag ginib up natin, i-de-recognize, di ba? Meron tayong, we have de-recognition entry for that one. So, ano yung de-recognition natin? So, syempre, tatanggalin natin, we're going to eliminate the accumulated depreciation. Credit yun. So, the normal balance of accumulated depreciation is credit. So, to make it zero, so we need to debit the accumulated depreciation as of January 1. And the accumulated depreciation as of January 1 is 97,000. So, debit tayo ng 97,000 for accumulated depreciation. Now, since merong commercial substance law and our machine is recognized at fair market value, we are allowed by the standard to recognize a gain or loss. So, yung gain or loss on this exchange will be the difference between the fair value of the asset given up. Take note, this is fair value asset of given up minus yung book value of asset given up also. So, just like dun sa asset swap, kung naalala niyo yun, di ba? So, yan. Parang dun sa problem na yan, so yung fair market value ng asset given up is 180. Ngayon, yung book value is yung original cost na 250,000 minus yung accumulated depreciation of 97,000. So, that's 153. So, sulat ko dito. Yung book value is the original cost, which is 250,000 minus yung accumulated depreciation na 97,000. So, therefore, this is 153,000. So, itong 153 na yan, i-compare mo yan dun sa fair market value. So, ang fair market value o fair value is 180,000. Ang book value is 153,000. So, ibig sabihin, 182 minus 153, nagkaroon tayo ng increase dun sa fair value na 27,000. So, dahil mas mataas yung fair market value, so because the fair market value is higher than the book value, this 27,000 will be recognized as gain on exchange. Yan. So, tandaan nyo yung 27. So, buburahin ko lang kasi I need some space. So, we have ayan. So, credit ako ng siyempre, debit mo yung accumulated depreciation. So, i-credit ko din. So, I need to credit also the cost, the original cost. So, credit ako ng machinery, this is old. So, this is at cost, which is, the cost is 250,000. Then, syempre, nagbayad ng cash. So, the company paid cash amounting to 45,000. So, this is 45,000. And yung na-compute natin na gain on exchange kanina, which is the difference between the fair market value minus yung book value. So, computation natin kanina, this is 27,000. So, let's try to compute kung we have the same total for the debit and credit. So, for credit, that's 250,000 plus 45,000 plus 27,000. So, yung credit natin is 322,000. So, compare that to the debit. So, that's 225,000 plus 97,000. So, still, that is 322,000. So, our entry is correct. So, anong rule? So, since tayo nagbayad ng cash, so yung payment natin will be added dun sa fair market value of the asset given up. Ngayon, bakit nagbayad ng 45? Kasi based on the assumptions used by ABC in the computation of the value of the asset received from XYZ, mas mataas ng 45,000 yung fair market value ng asset ni XYZ. Of course, hindi naman yun ang fair market value on the point of view of XYZ. According to the problem, 150 lang yun. Kasi meron din namang assumptions you see XYZ. So, what will be the journal entry for XYZ? Dun sa next slide. So, for XYZ, so actually, the principles are the same. So, yung XYZ, yung asset niya will be recognized also at the fair market value of asset given up. But this time, siya yung naka-receive ng cash of 45,000 from ABC. So if you remember, for ABC, we added the cash dun sa fair market value. So since si XYZ yung naka-receive nung cash, ima-minus naman natin yan dun sa fair market value nung asset given up ni XYZ. So since siya yung recipient of cash, ang formula dito is fair market value of asset given up minus yung cash received. Yung kanina naman, fair market value of asset given up plus cash received. So, magiging journal entry will be debit to machinery. This is new kasi dalawa yung machine. That will be yung fair market value of asset given up. So, that's 150,000. Minus yung na-receive niyang cash which is 45,000. Ayan. So, 150 minus 45. 150 minus 45, that is 105,000. So, ang debit natin is 105,000. Siyempre, i-recognize mo yung original asset mo or original machine. So, meaning, we need to debit the accumulated depreciation. Kasi nga, pinagpalit mo na sa mga wala na accumulated depreciation. So, that is 118,000. Ayan. Ayan. So, hindi ko man nalagay yung credit kasi we need to compute for the gain or loss on exchange. Remember, yung gain or loss dun sa exchange will be the difference between the fair market value and the book value of the asset given up. So, ang fair market value is 150,000. So, ang book value mo is the cost, original cost, which is on the data, that's 292,000. O, take note, minus yung accumulated depreciation, and the accumulated depreciation is 118,000. So, therefore, 292,000 minus 118,000. So, the book value is 174. So, if you notice, so from 174, so what is recorded on the book is 174,000. But based on the assumption used to compute for the value of the asset as of that date, 150 lang yun. So, ibig sabihin, there is a decrease in the value of the assets from 174 to 150. The difference is 24,000. So, this 24,000 will be recognized as loss. Yan. So, pulahin ko lang. So, since loss yan, i-debit natin. So, we need to debit this 24,000 loss. So, debit ako. So, aside from debit machine or machinery for the new asset, that's 105. And also, they recognize the accumulated depreciation, that's 118,000. I also need to debit loss on exchange for 24,000. 24. And also, don't forget, XYZ received cash from ABC. This is for 45,000. Again. And credit for the original cost of the asset. And that is, so we have machine or machinery. This is for the old. So according to the problem, the original cost is 292,000. So for this problem, we only have one credit. That's the credit for the original cost of the machine. So let's try to compute if we have the same debit. So that is 105,000 plus 118 plus 24,000 plus 45,000. So we have 292,000. So we're done with the assumptions that this problem has a commercial substance. So what are the rules? So your asset or each party will debit a new machine. So account is a new machine or new equipment or whatever. So for the new machines is based on the fair market value of the asset given up. If you are the one paying for cash, we need to add the cash dun sa fair market value of asset given up. Pero if we are the recipient of that cash, we're going to deduct the cash received dun sa fair market value of asset given up. And since this is with commercial substance, we are allowed by the standard to recognize any gain or loss. And this gain or loss is just the difference between the fair market value and the book value of the asset given up. That's it. Yeah. How about if there is no without or there is no commercial substance? So kung walang commercial substance, so we're not going to recognize the new asset at fair market value. Kasi yun nga yung exemption according to the previous discussion. So, ibig sabihin, parang ano lang yan. So, physically, we exchange our asset, but in reality, in substance, there is no actual exchange na nangyari doon. So, paano gagawin dyan? So, yung new asset, so we have new asset. Paano natin i-recognize yung new asset? So, how are we going to recognize our new assets? So, this will be based on the book value of asset given up. So, therefore, since book value yung ginamit natin, hindi fair market value, there is no gain or loss on this transaction. So, kumbaga, parang dine-recognize mo lang yung accumulated depreciation. So, paano gagawin yan? E di for XYZ, for ABC, so this is ABC. So, for ABC, so walang gain or loss. But take note, nagbayad dito ng cash. So, ibig sabihin, kasi sabi ko, book value So, syempre, adjusted pa rin with the payment of cash. Di ba, remember, ang book value ng asset ni ABC, ang original cost, this is 250,000 minus yung accumulated depreciation, this is 97. So, therefore, so 250,000 minus 97,000. So, that's 153. 153,000. So, i-debit niya yung machinery or machine. So, take note, this is new. Kung walang binayarang cash, if there is no cash payment made by ABC at 153. Kaya lang, meron tayong cash. So, therefore, adjust din natin. Just like the fair market value. So, therefore, our entry will debit machinery. So, this is new machine. So, this is 153,000 minus 45,000. So, it should be add. Kasi nagbayad nga tayong 45. So, 153,000 plus 45,000. So, this is for 198,000. Kasi nagbayad tayong cash. So, meaning yung na-receive natin, mas mataas sa 153. That's why ABC paid o pay 145,000 cash. Then, we also need to debit the depreciation kasi we need to recognize the old machine. So, accumulated depreciation. So, this is 97,000. We have to credit machinery. So, yung original cost. So, this is old. This is for 250,000. And credit cash. This is for 45,000. So, let's try to check. So, our credit is 250 plus 45,000. So, that is 295. So, our debit is 198,000 plus 97,000. So, that is also 295,000. Ayan. How about for XYZ? Okay, so for the book of XYZ, so we have XYZ. So, remember, we need the book value. So, yung book value is the original cost. That is 292,000 minus accumulated depreciation. So, that is 118. Tama ba? So, 292 minus 118,000. So, yung book value of asset given up is 174,000. So, take note, naka-receive tayo ng cash. So, certain portion ito. Sabihin, na-receive natin, mas mababa dito sa 174. So, that's why the other party paid cash of 45. So, babawasan ko to ng 45,000. So, 174,000 minus 45,000. So, that is 129,000. So, ibig sabihin, na-receive natin will be debited at 129,000. So, bakit nga 129? 174 yung given up natin. Kasi minamatch lang natin doon sa na-receive. Naka-receive tayo ng 45. So, ibig sabihin, yung asset na na-receive natin, mas mababa doon sa 174 yung value niya for accounting purposes. So, 129 lang. So, i-debit ko yung machinery or machine. So, take note, this is new at 129,000. I-de-recognize the old machine should be de-recognized. So therefore, I need to debit the accumulated depreciation of the old machine. And that is 118,000. There is no gain or loss, so therefore, I need to credit yung machinery or machine old. So this is for the old machine. So the original cost is 292,000. Oh, I forgot. So we received 45,000 cash. So magde-debit ako ng cash for 45,000. So let's check if our debit should total 292. So 45,000 plus 129,000 plus 118,000. So that is 292,000. So for the machine, remember, yeah, so this is the end of our journal entry. So therefore, if that is with commercial substance, or just to summarize, if the exchange transaction is with commercial substance, so yung payer of cash, paano niya nire-recognize yung asset? So yung asset is based dun sa fair market value of asset, asset given up payer. So siya nagbayad. So plus yung cash payment. So kapag naman ikaw si payee, sabi ikaw yung naka-receive ng cash, so yung asset mo will be the fair market value of the asset given up minus yung cash received mo naman. So parang ito yun. Kasi si XYZ yung naka-receive ng cash. Ayan. Paano kung no commercial substance? So si payer, so yung asset should be recognized at the fair market, at the book value of the asset given up plus yung cash payment. Kapag ikaw naman si payee, ikaw yung nagbayad ng cash, so yung asset mo should be recognized at the book value of asset given up minus yung cash payment. So kapag merong commercial substance, meron tayong gain or loss. Kapag without commercial substance o no commercial substance, no gain or loss. Ayan. So we're done with the accounting for non-monetary exchange. So that's the end of our module 2 actually. So this is module 2.5. So our next module is module 3 and we're going to talk about depreciation. So yung module 3 natin, we're going to introduce the concept of depreciation and we're going to discuss straight line depreciation method. In case you have any questions or additional concerns, please let me know. Goodbye. Thank you.